need my co-hosts, you guys, to step up tonight and have some great questions. So those of you that are tuning in right now, thanks for tuning in to Stormfront Freaks. We call this Stormfront Freaks Raw because this is the recording tonight. This is not the edited show. You're just getting all the raw recordings that we do. But because we have to do it live anyways, we may as well show it to anybody that cares to watch. So if you are joining us live tonight, thanks for joining us. MJ is out tonight, so we're going to have a little bit harder time to monitor the chat, but you're certainly welcome to chat. I'll try and keep a little bit of an eye on that. And if you happen to be catching the recording after the fact and joining us, again, you're welcome to join. What we do is we edit this show, and then we post it on the weekend as an audio podcast. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, all the podcast places you can find us. And then we also edit the video, and that gets broadcast on Oklahoma Weather Tracker TV the following week. And then we usually will post it and put the broadcast edit of the show up on YouTube a week or two later. So just as if you're watching this and you don't care to watch all the between breaks and everything else, just so you kind of know where you can catch the edited show. Otherwise, we always encourage people to cautiously watch if you are, because during the recording, you never know what we might say, what might get said during the breaks, and sometimes that's the fun of it. So thanks for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes.
That's the fun part.
All right, so let's. So here's what we'll do. I'll go ahead and we'll do the intro. I'll get started. This is episode 75, so we'll mention that Audas is on the show. I'm also going to mention that Joel is with us as well because it is National Weather Podcast Month. But Joel, I will save an opportunity for you to talk about the show towards the end, just so you know. So I'll introduce you, but we'll also talk about you later on. And then we'll go ahead and introduce the team, and for Ada and for Joel, how we introduce our co-hosts and their voices is by asking everybody what they're drinking tonight. So we'll go around the horn and find out what everybody's drinking. And who I got? Morgan, Maz, Dina, Joel, and Ada. Okay. And then once we get that done, then I'm going to turn it over to Maz. Maz will do Ada's introduction. And then we'll start the questions, and that's open to everybody. Again, to Joel and even Morgan, I'll tell you as well, because there's a number of us on this show. If you got a question or you got something to say, you just got to say it. Don't wait for someone to not be saying something, or you'll probably never get your question or your comment in. So just jump on toes. It's like I always tell everybody, it's like we're sitting around a poker table, playing poker or whatever, and chatting. And sometimes you just jump on people's toes if you have to do that.
So ante up.
That's right. That's right. So we'll go through question and answers, and then I'm going to, I'd say 20, 30 minutes after that, I'm going to take a break. And then we'll quick chat a little bit at the break, but then we'll come back with the question of the week and then do lightning round, and then we'll take our second break after that. And then after that second break, Ada, that's the point. Hey, if you want to take off, that's fine. If you want to stick around for the last few segments, you can too, but
thank you.
We'll talk about that. Anybody have any questions on that?
Nope.
All right. Nope. So, what is this? That's the clapping. What's this one? That's our laugh track. Okay, good. And hey, do you guys notice, am I any louder or softer than anybody else talking when people talk?
Your levels sound good to me.
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Test.
That's the part I hate, having to do MJ's job and also talk, is I never know what's going on.
That's what MJ says too. But
I know, that's true. All right, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2. Hey, welcome everybody to the most entertaining weather podcast on your listening and viewing device. This is the Stormfront Freaks podcast. It's brought to you by Extreme Tornado Tours. They're the world's most popular storm chase company. It seems like these guys are always on the storms and the major ones, which is why you got to check it out. But their seats for the 2019 season are filling up fast, and they're running a big sale right now through the weekend with $500 off select tours. So if you visit extremetornadotours.com/sale, you can get more details on that as well. But hey, if you're a first-time listener, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to go to stormfrontfreaks.com, access our library of previous shows and famous weather guests from the weather industry, like the Weather Channel's Jen Carfagno, and Fox and Friends' Janice Dean, just a couple folks we've had on in the past. But this is episode 75, and to celebrate National Women's History Month, we have award-winning Puerto Rican meteorologist Audas Monzon is joining us tonight. Looking forward to chatting with her. We're also going to be playing our lightning round game and asking the question of the week: what do you think would be the hardest geography to forecast for? And I think we're going to have a lot of feedback on that. We also have our exclusive tracker chat and tornado track segments. And we have a request to bring back another episode of Weather Fools. So we got a big show tonight. But before we get to all that, it is National Weather Podcast Month. And we're encouraging everyone to take the Weather Podcast Challenge, where you listen to an episode of each of the 6 independent weather podcasts this month. You can visit weatherpodcastmonth.com to find and learn more about some of the other great weather podcasts. There's ones like Weather Hype, Carolina Weather Group, Weather Brains. There's a new one called B Squared. And then with us tonight from Ice Station Houseman is co-host Joel Houseman. So Joel, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So good having you on the show. We'll talk a little bit more about Ice Station Houseman later on. But it's always happy hour at the Stormfront Freaks bar when we get together. It's our way of introducing our co-hosts as well as letting you know. We just like to have a little fun and be laid back around here. So I'm going to start first, of course, with our intern this spring. So we found out Morgan Clark. She's an atmospheric science major at Ohio State University, but we just found out you're potentially going to grad school. So you haven't picked which one yet. Where are you going? Tell us right now. Give us the scoop.
Aren't you going to wait for the baseball cap and make the announcement and all that?
Yeah. I'm going to have an official, I don't know, draft.
The decision.
Pick,
Morgan's the decision. It's going to be live on Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Yes.
So what are the options?
Colorado State and Wisconsin.
Wisconsin.
But you do get skiing in Colorado.
Yeah, I do like to ski.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
cheese or skiing? I don't know.
Farther away, it seems nicer. I've never been in mountain time, Well,
save your bombshell announcement for the show. But what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a white wine. It didn't specify what kind of wine it is, just white.
And I have those white wines.
I have this fun sun glass.
Oh, those glasses. I think I've seen those.
Fitting.
My roommate has a whole set of planets. I broke a few, though.
Uh-oh.
Pluto broke last year.
It's not a real
planet. All right, Maz, what are you drinking tonight?
I am having LaCroix. Unless you're French, then it's LaCroix. But it's surate, something like that. It's kiwi sandia. All I know is it says 0 sodium, 0 calories, 0 sweetener. And my son's 0 flavor. And I'm like, no, it's got some. It's
plenty of artificial
flavor.
It's
all right,
good.
Dina, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking a new Angry Orchard hard cider rosé. Look at that. I'm expanding my horizons a little bit.
You're off the hard stuff.
I'm not angry yet, but maybe after a few.
Okay, and then we have our guest co-host Joel is with us. So Joel, what are you drinking? Are you bringing anything to the bar? Or?
Well, as of originally from southwestern Virginia, I'm required to have the Dr. Pepper. It's
really?
It's a staple. Yeah.
The state soda or pop.
It's from down that way. Yeah. It's like.
Did you guys call
pop
it
there?
Yeah. Pop
we
or soda?
We say soda, but honestly, everyone just refers everything to generically as Coke, whether it's actually Coke or not.
True.
Do they still have those 23 herbs in that, or 21?
It's supposed to be 28 or 23 something. It used to say on the it does too. 23 authentic blend of flavors.
I think Colonel Sanders had something to do with that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right. Were there 23 herbs?
Well, let's move on.
That was
no one's here to know what's in Dr. Pepper, but we are here to find out a little bit about our guests. So Maz, I'm going to flip it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Audas Monzon is here with us for tonight, chief meteorologist from WIPR TV in Puerto Rico. She's the first female meteorologist in Puerto Rico and an expert in hurricanes and tropical weather. She's an American Meteorological Society Fellow Awardee and Broadcaster of the Year. They just keep piling the awards on you. Ada is also the founder of the Eco Exploratorio. Is that right? Did I say that right? Exploratorio?
Yes, you did right.
Okay, good. All right. Puerto Rico Science Museum, and her messaging before, during, and after Hurricane Maria reached over 31 million viewers. That is awesome. She finished her bachelor's degree in mathematics from the University of Puerto Rico, Rio Piedras.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yes.
I'm rocking it tonight.
Your
okay.
is good.
And her master's degree in meteorology from Florida State University. Welcome, Ada. Glad you're here.
Welcome.
Oh, I'm so happy. Thank you so much. You're such a great crowd. I am happy to be
excited to have you.
guys.
They
Oh,
pay
thank you
us
so
well.
much.
So what's it like to be the first female meteorologist in Puerto Rico? I mean, is it something, do you like, I'm the first, or is it like, oh, go on, or is it like a dream come true? Tell me, like, what's it like?
Well, even since I was a kid, I knew that I loved weather. I grew up with my mother, my grandmother, and my mother, and they were all teachers. And my aunt, she was the science teacher, and she had this beautiful Time Life collection of books. And she had especially the weather book, and I knew it by heart. I knew my clouds, I knew my instruments. So I always knew that I wanted to be a meteorologist. My mother was not so convinced because she said, well, but I mean, there are no other women around. So there was no role model for me to follow. So I used to go to the National Weather Service office, and there was Dr. Jose Colon, who was the MIC of the Weather Service office. And he always was so supportive. And he said, you continue on and you go to the university, you have to go to and get a master's degree, and then you come back to Puerto Rico. So exactly, that's what I did. I got into FSU, and I got a NASA fellowship. That was really helpful because if I didn't have that, I wasn't going to be able to get my degree. And so that really, when I came back, yes, I was the first, but it actually has never ever been into my system like I'm the first. Is that I hope that with my presence, not only as at the Weather Service office, because that's where I started working for, and through my university years and through the broadcast period that I'm still in, I hope that I'm inspiring more women into the field. And this is something very interesting. We have now a meteorology program at the University of Puerto Rico in Maya West, which we started about 10 years ago. And most of the graduates from the program are women. And so we have PhDs, master's degrees, and I am so proud of them. And I always support them. I'm like their godmother, more godmother or mother. But it is a very beautiful feeling to know that we are leaving the meteorology career in very good hands, for the future.
Now, with 31 million viewers that one time, did you know you have your biggest fan on air tonight with us? Morgan is on with us.
Oh, Morgan.
Aww.
Well, I'd like to add that I'm glad that I live in an era where I can have role models. So thank you for being one of them. I can't say you're the one that made me change because, I didn't know of you when I was younger, but I do have a similar story with the book. My grandma was a librarian. She had this tornado book, and that was very interesting to me when I was probably 7 years old. And I think that's what sparked my interest in weather. So it's very similar. And I'm also amazed that you've been working in meteorology for 30 years like that. You don't look it. So that was one of I remember at AMS, I was like, there's no way. Unless you've been working.
I do have a question. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you talking about? Your daughters?
No. That I also have 3 beautiful daughters. None of them want to be in science. They're all in finance. So, but still, you know, they
Where the money
yeah,
is.
exactly. Yeah, but the thing is that they got this discipline, the scientific discipline. They do have it because I mean, they had to do science fairs with me, like for 6 years. Yeah, but it's very interesting. You know, time flies, and I still feel like, you know, this is not over. Actually, after Hurricane Maria, there's so much to do that it's like I am starting once again into a new path.
So you were talking about now the university and the number of women graduating with meteorological degrees. How was it 30 years ago in Puerto Rico? What was the climate like for a woman to be in a STEM program like that and to be in science? What's changed over those 30 years?
You know, there was one person at the National Weather Service forecast office where when I used to go volunteer, and he told me once that I would never be a meteorologist because the career was very tough, and that working shifts was going to be very hard on me and my family. So that really made me very mad. And later on, when I came back, he was not there at the office at that time. Even when I was at FSU, most of the you know, the students in the classrooms, they were all males. Very few women in the meteorology program, especially in the graduate program. And I was with the only professor, the only woman professor at FSU, which was Dr. Sharon Nicholson, and she still is. And so I learned to survive in an environment where there were all men, very few women. But I realized very early on that you cannot pay attention to comments and things because you're here you have a mission. And your mission you have to accomplish. And you have to keep focused on the things that you want to do and achieve in your life. So those are like noise. Those are like noise around you, but you don't pay attention. And sometimes it hurts, but you know, everything hurts even in broadcast community when you do something that people don't like or the forecast was not good. You learn to go through all of these periods, and you know, I've learned that it doesn't matter. You have to do what you need to do, and you have to feel happy about what you do.
I agree, definitely. Because people are going to put you down no matter what. And it makes me wonder, like, how are people in Puerto Rico as viewers? Are they as rude as they are here? As they
Well, you know,
be?
it's a mix. It's a mix. It's like everywhere else. I mean, I don't think there's any difference. When we had Hurricane Maria threatened and Hurricane Irma before Maria, I had a lot of, I don't know how to say this in English, but I think they're called memes.
Yeah,
Like
that's
when
correct.
people, right? So people made a lot of fun about me. I laughed a lot. You know, they were like, "Is Ada Monzon doing a Facebook Live?" Like they were all scared, or you know, things like that. And people, you know, it got to a point that I started blocking people because I didn't want to continue to receive all these messages because people didn't want to believe that we were threatened by Category 5 hurricane, not once, twice in 2 weeks. So it was very hard for all of us to handle the threat. And then we were all scared. I was scared, but I saw that in social media, that was my only chance to do whatever I want with the tools that I had around me to get the message out. It was the sense of urgency that really moved me. And you know, I use the social media as my main platform. You know, I work for TV, I work for radio, and that was very important. But your time frame in those platforms is very limited. So Facebook was the was the way for me to bring the message and to alert people of what was going to happen every 3 hours. Every time we had a bulletin, I was on, and I translated the information that we were getting in the bulletin into something that anyone can use, because it's very hard to get a bulletin of 175 miles per hour winds, and all of a sudden, how are you going to interpret that? So it took a lot of me, but I knew that life had prepared me somehow for that moment. And I changed from being a meteorologist into a friend. And somehow that transition, I didn't know it was happening, but the situation brought me into that point. When that Wednesday morning, when we had Hurricane Maria entering Puerto Rico, it was 6 a.m. I mean, we were at the TV station. Everything was like all these noises, like everything was falling into the roof of the building, and I thought I was going to die. Because we had a huge tower, like more than 100 feet tower, and everything from the tower was falling over the roof where we were doing the transmission. And I started crying and praying. Can you imagine yourself praying in front of a Facebook Live or on TV and radio? I just became me. I just became one of us. And it's very hard to even remember all the emotional things that happened. But today I was at the city, and we were talking about energy, how energy destroyed Puerto Rico. And something that I realized even today, that we have to change the message. We have to change everything we have said for the last 15, 20, or 30 years to prepare people. We need to change the message, because extreme events are going to be more frequent, and it's going to happen to all of us. All of us are going to be we're all going to be victims of climate change. And I'm a victim of climate change now. And I didn't realize that for some reason, because we're still working with the aftermath. And it's very difficult to be a victim and try to prepare and educate and do all these things at the same time. A lot of emotional component and behavioral component is coming into place, and it's not getting easier every day. It's not.
What?
Oh,
Go
sorry.
ahead.
What is
Go
it
ahead,
like
Dina.
now in Puerto Rico? It's been like 18 months. I mean, what's it like there?
We're back. I mean, the tourism is back. There's a lot of innovation. And I think that we have a huge opportunity now after Hurricane Maria to do better. We cannot keep doing things like we did before. That's why we have to not think outside of the box. We have to break the box and start over. And I think that we're in a good path. It's just that it's a process and it takes time. And, as long as we walk on the same way, although we can have disagreements on how to do things, as long as we have the same purpose and the same goals, we're going to be fine. It's better, but still we have some areas in Puerto Rico that are they have no roofs in some of the houses. The strong and resilient houses, they fared well. They had water damage or maybe some minor damage. But the ones that were not resilient, the ones that are not built by under the code, or they're not in the safe areas, unfortunately, they had major damage. And with the recovery is probably not as fast as we want, because the funding to make the recovery faster is not coming fast enough. So everything is being delayed. even something that I heard today, let me pull out these numbers. Energy was the big issue. We needed 62,000 poles, electric poles.
Wow.
62,000 poles.
62,000.
2 million,
Wow.
2 million feet foot of cable for all the lines, for the transmission lines, for all that. So when they try to call, from the government, they try to call and get these things, there was no material. Resources are finite for catastrophic events. Even people from FEMA that I know that they were working to get some of the supplies. When you were asking in terms of thousands what you needed, there were no resources even in the United States. So that's something that we have to think about. We have to think about extreme events, how to prepare, and how to start working in either piling up for these things in some centers, or having the distribution also. There are many issues that we as meteorologists, of course, we educate. We are the link between the community and the science. But at the same time, we are part of the policy, of the public policy that is around us, and we need to bring that science so that the politicians and the government take the best decision and make the best decisions for preparing to these catastrophic events. So there's a lot to learn, especially in terms of health. I never thought that we were going to have so many deaths. 2,975 deaths.
Wow.
That's
something that is unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's insane. So and we think about Katrina, and this was even worse than Katrina. So I don't know the answer. We're still looking for the right way to do things, but we are back, and business is back for many people. But there are many issues. You have to think about energy, communications, social services, education, infrastructure, health, so many details that we have to think about and be prepared for.
Auda, I had one more question. You were talking about preparation, because I was wondering, now what would you do different? You kind of answered a lot of that. A lot of that's preparation. But I was reading that you were starting or trying to start a weather network with Earth Networks, and it was something like 12 stations. So how does that work?
Well, we have now 17 weather stations. 12 of them are already online. 5 will be pretty soon, because we coordinate that with the Puerto Rico Department of Education. So what we're trying to do, so schools are communities, right? At the same time, they're school communities. And that's where we gather our future generation and the teachers. And we're trying to build resiliency through innovation in STEM education. And that's a project that we have taken for the last 18 months, that actually we're finishing by the end of this month. And it's been very interesting, because now we're providing, we lost all the weather infrastructure, Dina. We lost it. We lost the Doppler radar. I show that at the AMS. Even a month after the hurricane destroyed the Doppler radar, I went out there with the engineering, some of the engineers of the University of Puerto Rico in Maya West, and we found the radar. It was debris. What we found, we kept the feed horn. The feed horn, we have it at the museum. Let me tell you, that we found the feed horn, but nothing else. And even the tower was kind of tilted and turned. So we know that the huge tornado, the debris field was huge. And the last reading from the radar at 4,000 feet was 223 miles per hour.
Wow.
And that was when the eye was about to make landfall, because there was a double eye configuration at the time it made landfall, but the inner eye was was collapsing while the outer eye was becoming more intense. And that's exactly when the outer eye hit the radar, those winds hit the radar. That's when we lost it. So we lost everything. And we started with the weather network, with Earth Network, to start a new weather stations, especially for schools, to get students inspired on this.
It was in the middle of, if I'm not mistaken, going through an eye wall replacement cycle, right, as it was coming to Puerto Rico. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And
that's why it went from 175 miles per hour, then it went to 155 miles per hour when it made landfall. But this is the point. Puerto Rico is 75% mountains. Okay, so yes, it might have been 155 miles per hour at landfall at sea level, but as soon as it hit the mountains, like what happened with the radar, we had more than 200 miles per hour. So nobody wants to believe that this was a Cat 4. So I say, don't worry, it was a Cat 4.9.
Yeah, 2 miles an hour doesn't make no difference.
It makes no difference, but still, it's very hard for people, especially in the mountainous region, to remember.
Well, hey, I'm going to take a quick break, but hey, you all have your favorite go-to daily weather app, right? I mean, just the one where you're trying to get your daily weather information. How many times do you have to click or scroll through your weather app to find all the information that you're looking for? Swipe up, tap, all that kind of stuff. Can you believe there's a new app that shows you the hourly temp, the sky cover, and precipitation forecast for the next 24 hours, and your local radar, all beautifully on one screen. So you can look at one screen, all this information's on there. Atmosphere Weather, it's the last daily weather app that you're ever going to use. You can scroll through the next 7 days to see what's ahead. Atmosphere Weather can also integrate your calendar and display your events on its 24-hour daily clock, so you can tell if you'll need to bring an umbrella to the soccer game this weekend. But you got to try it to believe it. Download Atmosphere Weather. Now it's on iOS and Android, and you can try it for free. Again, search Atmosphere Weather. So we're going to take a short break. Go ahead and refill your drink and check out Tracker Chat with the Tornado Trackers, discussing the tornado events that shape them. We'll go ahead. We'll be right back. All right. Thank you. So break number one. Any questions before we keep moving on? Auda, I'm thinking we could have you on here for 2 hours with all the questions that we have for you.
Yeah.
Any question I had, you answered.
You got great stories.
I talk a lot.
So let me before we come back, let me just ask the co-hosts, because typically we'd come back and do the question of the week, but I want to make sure you guys all get your questions answered before.
I've just got one quick one for her.
Okay. So Joel's got one. Anybody else that definitely has a question they want to ask?
Well, I do. I have one because I wanted to talk a little bit about the museum.
That's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do a couple questions, and then I'll quick jump to the question of the week. I want to try and get through it kind of quickly because I want to be aware of Auda's time and not keep her on here too long. But so we will. So let's quick get those questions answered. I'll jump to the question of the week, and then we'll do lightning round. And then we'll take our second break at that point.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Mm-mm. All right. Let me.
Auda, it's weird too. Just today, when I was at work, I was reading. We just did an article. They said that the last customers were finally reconnected to the power grid 18 months later on the Isle of Calabria. Did I say that right?
Culebra. Yes.
I'm like.
Culebra.
Yeah. I can't say it right. But now that it took that long to get on the power grid, 18 months. That's awful.
Yeah, because that is an off island. Puerto Rico has a few off islands, right? You got the main island and then a couple of off islands. And the cable, and I learned this today, I didn't know that. There's a cable that goes from Puerto Rico to Vieques, and there's another one that comes to Vieques to Culebra. The one from Puerto Rico to Vieques was damaged by the storm, but the one from Culebra to Vieques was damaged by some other reason. So in order to get all of these things, which are, thousands of feet underwater, it has been very difficult.
Wow.
And they just restored it recently. So it's the magnitude of the devastation that is, you say, well, it's just a little island in the Caribbean. No, it's very complex island, very complex.
All right, I'm going to make an executive decision, and I'm going to cut the question of the week. So we're just going to come back, you guys, because Dina, you cheated already a little bit. We're going to come back, and you guys can ask the other questions you've got, and then we'll just go into the lightning round. Okay? Does that sound good? All right, so here we go. In 3, 2. Hey, welcome back, everybody. We're with Puerto Rican meteorologist Audas Monzon. We've been getting all kinds of amazing information about the Hurricane Maria specifically, but I want to keep the questions going because I think we got plenty of them. So I'll turn it over. Maz, I think you had a question. Why don't we start with you?
Yeah, Audas, because I'm very curious to hear more about the museum.
Well, the Science Museum is a nonprofit organization, a 501c3, that I founded about 10 years ago. And this foundation has been working to build STEM interest and inspire students in STEM careers and protecting our natural world. Puerto Rico is a beautiful island, and we are surrounded by beautiful waters and beautiful skies and beautiful nature, beautiful ecosystems. And we need to make sure that in our economic development, the island's economic development, we have the workforce, and we need to push into the pipeline these students that need to be interested in STEM. So in that sense, so I founded the museum, and we have been working from a space, like a store space, from Plaza Las Americas, which is the main shopping center here in Puerto Rico. We have about 2,500 square feet, and we developed the first exhibition of the museum, and it's called Oceanica. It's about the oceans. And we had this beautiful exhibition put together with live species, and we have an education room, and we have virtual reality, and we have many things going on, but it's a small but inspiring place, and we have received about 25,000 people every year. And we receive funding from the tickets, from grants, from donations, and now we are looking forward to build the museum. I think Hurricane Maria has given us the support, because now we know that we need a hub for natural disaster mitigation, and we need to get our education into a bigger space, and a bigger and an area where we can do our outreach. And we think that we have, at least now, we are eligible for some of the federal funding, and we're starting to write proposals. We have a land near the convention center that is going to be supported by tourism. So local and tourism will engage into getting the Science Museum going, and we're looking forward that in the next 2 or 3 years, we have a 65,000 square feet museum, and it would be the first of its kind in Puerto Rico.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. You're the president and founder, right?
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm the board of directors. That's my volunteer job. We have a staff of 10 people.
That's your volunteer
of course,
job.
Because there's as you know, nonprofits, and to me that's been very interesting because we're not used to working with nonprofits. And I should confess that at the beginning I didn't have the idea correctly, so I've had to study and train to understand how nonprofits work, and I'm surrounded by great people that are experts on this, law firms and pro bono, and yeah, it has been a labor of love in order to get the project going.
So when you sleep,
40-hour-a-week labor of love.
Oh, I
probably,
bet.
Exactly. Yeah, most of my day I spend it either writing rants or working with the staff or coordinating. My job is very simple. I just make sure that the mission and the vision are executed, and the board works with the financial aspect, and the staff works with the execution and the relationships with the community. And this has this cannot be seen as a place to learn science. This has to be a two-way street, because public needs to participate in science. That's the only way that we're going to get the local community, our education into local communities, and also that local communities embrace what we do. Um, and it's something I've learned through all this process is the importance of collaboration and working with the people that know how to move forward. When we're looking at the island, the government, moving this is very hard. But if you go at the local level, then it becomes much easier, because it's a one-to-one thing. I have this and you have that. And then we can work together and we make things happen. I work with the teacher, I work with the director of the school, I work with the community leader, and that works. That really works. So that's why I'm telling you, all of this has to be, we need to rethink how the meteorology serves people, because it's not just a forecast. We need to think about social innovation and how we are working with the science and make it for the service of the community.
It sounds like you get a full 45 minutes sleep a night.
Exactly. Yeah, about 4 to 5 hours.
A good 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I don't want to leave Joel out. I know, Joel, you had a question for Ada as well.
So my thought was, when you were describing your experience of being in the station there when you're trying to report on Maria as you're writing out Maria, having, everything that you thought was important and that you knew about a storm of that caliber before the storm hit versus after it hit, what was the one thing that surprised you the most that you now think would be important for people to know, having been through it in, yourself?
When you look at the reasons or how people died, we had very few direct deaths. We had, all of them. I didn't want to have even one, so all of them are terrible. But energy, to me, the fact that we didn't have energy and we couldn't get that, we couldn't get any energy source, energy fuel, anything. We were isolated. We couldn't communicate with anyone. That to me was very scary, very scary. And being like that for weeks and months, I didn't get my electricity back for like 3 months.
Wow.
And I have an electric generator, a good electric generator here in my house. And in my house there were 12 people. My mother, my cousins, my friends, they were all in my house. In a way, it was fun because I couldn't remember since I was a kid when I had that many people in my house sleeping over. Okay. So every time I came back from work, I had food. Somebody had cooked for me. So, and we were talking until very late at night. So there were good things, People were out on the streets and children were playing outside in the street. But in the sense that how my message is going to change, I am going to put more focus on the energy issues and being I don't know how to say this in English, and I'm sorry I don't. But to be self prepared or self reliable,
Self-sufficient. I mean, yeah.
self-sufficient. To be self-sufficient, because you cannot depend on anyone. Okay,
Yeah.
so you were assuming that you were going to have energy or at least some kind of communication. Mm-mm. You assumed that you were going to have your market or something to buy food or to buy water, but all of a sudden it was 4 weeks. Where in the emergency plans did you say that you needed to have food and water for 14 or 21 days? No, you say 3 days, 4 days, maybe 7 days, because you assume that everything is going to work. Well, maybe it works for the United States, but it doesn't work in the island environment. In the island environment is difficult because now we lost our ports. There was no way to get things, humanitarian aid, through ships because all the ports have lost their markings, the buoys, we couldn't get fuel into the island. So everybody was making lines like for hours and hours and hours. And when you get a chance to get your fuel, you can only do $5 or $10. I don't remember how much, but not enough. But you had your family that it was far away. So we had to rethink everything we did. Even going to work, I remember going with my husband in one car because we needed to, be thoughtful about the fuel. And yeah, things like that you never thought that you were going to need. Now is going to be part of my message. It has to change. It has to change. And that's what I'm telling you, that in weather events that are catastrophic, you need to change your message. It's not one message for all.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, I'm going to keep things moving here, guys. One question I do have for you, Audas, is how can our listeners find you or follow you on social media?
Oh, it's very easy. You just follow me at Ada Monzon, AdaMonzon, in Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. In Facebook is Ada R Monzon, AdaRMonzon. And also you can follow Eco Exploratorio, the Science Museum, at EcoExploratio, Eco Exploratorio.
Very good. Okay, well, and we'll have those in our show notes so people can follow that as well. But hey, that is our sign. It is time for our lightning round, which is our game show of flashy questions we always play with our guest. And Ada, tonight we are going to play a game that I call Trippy. It's called Trippy.
Trippy?
Yep, Trippy. A little Trippy. It's a little trippy. And so here, let me explain what this game is. So we're going to do this. We're going to see how well we all know of our greatest tourist attractions. So I have got planetware.com. I've got the top tourist attractions, top 10 in the USA, and the top 10 in Puerto Rico. And so I'm going to pit Ada against the freaks. And Ada, you are going to try and pick what the top 10 greatest tourist attractions in Puerto Rico are. And the freaks have to try to pick the top 10 greatest attractions in the USA. And what I'm going to do...
Oh, thank God. If it was the other way around, we'd be...
we'd be here all night. So I'm going to go whoever gets to 3 strikes first. So whoever gets to 3 that they guessed wrong will be the loser. And, of course, then the other one is the winner. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the freaks, and I'm just going to kind of go down the list. So, Dina, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
These are the top 10 tourist attractions in the United States. And now these can be landmarks. They can be places to go and visit, stuff like that. But the top 10. So what is your first guess?
Let's see. I'll probably say New York. Maybe the Statue of Liberty?
Say the Statue of Liberty. That would be correct. Statue of Liberty is number 3.
Okay.
So you got that one right. Now I'm going to go to Ada. So Ada, you've got the top 10 tourist attractions in Puerto Rico. What do you think might be on the list?
Old San Juan.
Old San Juan, and that is correct.
Ooh.
That is number 4 on the
Been there.
list.
That's cool. That's
Number
cool.
4.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So you got that one. All right, so now I'm going to go back to the freaks. Joel, I'm going to start with you now. Joel, you've got 9 more to pick from. What do you think's on the list?
The Grand Canyon's got to be on there.
The Grand Canyon? That is number
Right.
1.
Oh,
Well done.
nice.
Number 1 on the
Joel.
list. So Joel, got that done. I'm going to go back to you, Ada.
Okay. El Morro.
El,
The
and
fort.
El Morro, the fort. El Morro, the fort. Now, forgive me here as I'm looking up all these Spanish names. And
Ooh.
I'm going to say no. El Morro. Spell it.
Impossible.
Spell it. Yep.
ELMORRO.
Nope,
El Morro.
that's not on there. That's not on there. All right, so
Okay.
this and if you got a problem with it, you just got to take it up with planetware.com. Don't get mad at me. I didn't make these up. Okay, now we're going back to the freaks. Maz, you got 8 more on the
Niagara Falls.
board. Niagara Falls.
Feels like family food.
That
Good
is
answer. Good
correct.
answer.
That is correct.
Thank you.
I started deleting them, so I don't remember what numbers they're on now. But you got it. You got it.
What-
So
what-
Ada,
where did that rank on the list?
El Yunque.
I think it was number 2, but I started deleting them, so
Okay.
you can't tell now. I won't be able to give you the answer on that. But Ada, I'm going back to you. Pick another one.
El Yunque. El Yunque. The
El
rainforest.
Yunque Natural Rainforest. That is correct.
Oh, everybody's
That is
kicking
correct.
butt.
So you got that one. All right, now I'm going to Morgan. Morgan, we got 7 more for the U.S.
Alrighty, you got the Grand Canyon. That was my go-to. Old Faithful, the geyser.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what's yeah.
And where is that?
Yosemite. Is that one of the? Is that
Yosemite?
Yosemite National
It's not
Park?
in
Yeah.
Jellystone.
I
Yellowstone. Oh shoot! No.
think
okay,
it is.
Yeah.
is
You're
it's
right.
Yellowstone,
You're right.
correct?
It's
Yeah,
Yellowstone.
it's
Yosemite's in
Yellowstone.
California. You're
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yellowstone National Park was on the list, so good job. All right, Ada, going back to you. Are you cheating? You're looking at something.
No.
I'm gonna call cheater on
I'm
you.
so sorry, messages. The bioluminescent bay in Vieques.
The bioluminescent Mosquito
There's
Bay,
a couple.
whatever
Yeah,
that last
Mosquito
word
Bay.
is. Yes,
Oh.
that is.
Mosquito Bay.
That is a yes.
Bay.
I want to see that. Yeah.
However you pronounce that. All right, we're going back to the freaks. Dina, you're back.
I'm
You
going
got
to say
6
Mount
more.
Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore.
That's
That would be
probably.
incorrect.
Mm.
Wow.
So you each got a strike. Ada, going back to you. Pick another one. You got 7
The
more.
radar at the Arecibo Observatory.
Uh,
The huge radar
Here-
platform. With
here's
the
what I'm going to
Arecibo
do. I'm going to
Observatory.
give it to you because I see Observatorio de
Ese
Arecibo.
mismo. Exactly.
Just
Okay.
say it right.
Yeah, she says, yeah, that one. That's right. All right, so good job. So you got it. We're going back to the freaks. Joel, we got 6 on the board.
I used to work a few blocks from it. I got to say the White House.
The White House. The White House is
Good job.
correct. That's
Joel, you
that's
keep
another
stealing all my answers.
one. All right, Ada, going back to you. You got 6 on the board still. Another tourist attraction in Puerto Rico.
I mean, the islands of Vieques and Culebra. I mean, everybody wants to go to Culebra, to the Flamenco beach.
Culebra, Playa Flamenco. That is correct.
Playa
That is on
Flamenco.
there as
Yeah,
well.
I know, beautiful. I am tempting you guys to come to Puerto Rico.
Well, this is
I already-
the goal,
I already
right?
looked
Is to
for,
help you
flights.
increase tourism.
Flight
Well,
prices.
hey, didn't you say you can fit 12 in your house?
All right,
Yeah,
Maz.
the more the merrier.
Maz, you're up. We got 5 U.S. attractions still on the board.
How about Lincoln Memorial?
Lincoln Memorial. That is incorrect.
What?
That is not on there. So, freaks, you only got one strike left to go. Ada, back to you.
Oh my God, why me? People like to go to Rincon, to the waves, to do the
Surfing.
surfing in
Surfing
Rincon.
at Rincon. I'm gonna say that is a
Oh.
no.
Ooh.
It's not on there. All right. Hey, that's just another one. I mean, you're going through all the great options
Number
in
11.
Puerto Rico. All right, so you guys both have 2 strikes. Morgan,
Ugh,
It's coming down to you. There's 5 on the
Morgan.
board.
I have a map on my wall. I keep looking at it to
Cheater.
No, I'm not looking
Little
at. It's not
bit.
the internet.
Go ahead.
Hold
You're
on.
up.
I gotta think there.
Vegas.
Las
I think
Vegas.
that's a good answer.
Oh, that's a good
The
one.
Las Vegas Strip.
I was
The Las
very-
Vegas
Yeah, I was
Strip.
gonna
I was
say it
very
doesn't
scared and
necessarily
very
have to be
nervous.
like a park or something. It can be other.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Otto, we're back to you. Now you got 2 strikes as well, so pressure's on.
Well, I'm going to tell you one of my favorite places. It's in Calle. It's called Guabate, where the pork. Pork. Guabate. I would say Guabate.
How do you spell that?
Guav as in Victor, ATE.
That is incorrect.
No
I
pressure.
am going to tell
31,
someone.
31 million people watching.
That's right. So I'll tell you what, Otto, that was awesome because you were your own team. All these guys got like 5 people on their team. So let me cover what you guys missed. So in the United States, we still had Walt Disney World Resort,
I didn't
Times
know that.
Square,
Man.
What was the other one?
Times Square,
Oh yeah, okay.
the
Yeah.
Golden Gate Bridge,
Oh, yeah.
and Waikiki
Yep.
in
I wouldn't.
Hawaii.
Oh, I wouldn't have got
Yeah.
All right, now here's what we still had in Puerto Rico. Now you might have to help me with this, Ada.
Okay.
Castillo San Felipe del Moro.
That's the one. I
Oh,
told
did you say that one?
Eduardo. Yes.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on.
Okay. Doesn't matter.
Okay,
Okay.
so that was okay. So I'm gonna call a tie. I told you I was gonna screw this up. So all right, so you got that one. Here's the other one, and you probably got this one too. The Camus Caves, CAMUY.
The caves. Okay, the caves. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Okay,
Yeah,
the caves. Then there's Museo de Arte de Ponce.
Oh yeah, Museo de Arte de Ponce. Yeah, talk about museums.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. All right, the other
Right.
one is Playa Mar Chiquita, Manati.
Manatí. Right. That's a beautiful beach.
Is it? Okay,
Yeah.
so these are all beaches. Cool. And then the last one was Cabo Rojo Lighthouse.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah, maybe
beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Good.
beautiful.
It's not on
All
your
right.
top 10.
Yeah, right. Until that happens. So anyway, great job, Ada. Great job for playing. Thanks for playing along. We're going to go ahead and take our final break with our Tornado Talk segment, sharing the story of the 1994 Piedmont, Alabama F4 tornado that happened on Palm Sunday. And we'll be right back with some weather fools. All right, Ada, before you go, can you do me one quick favor?
Yes.
Do a little sound plug for us, and if you can say this is Puerto Rican meteorologist Ada Monzon, and you're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Hang on, let me write that down. This Puerto Rican.
Yeah, because if I had to say something in Spanish, we would all be in trouble.
Okay, so
So-
this is Puerto Rican meteorologist Ada
Or
Monzon,
whatever you want to say,
no,
whatever
tell
title
me.
you want to give yourself is fine.
and this is Stormfront.
Stormfront Freaks podcast. You're listening to the Stormfront Freaks podcast.
You're listening.
And Joel, I'm picking up your breath quite a bit. So
Yeah. Sorry.
We're all
That's
breathing in our mics, I guess.
Dentine, buddy. Dentine.
Next podcast. Okay, I'm ready.
New mic technology.
go ahead. You can count in or whatever. I don't care.
Okay, you let me know.
Go.
This is Puerto Rican meteorologist Ada Monzon. You're listening to Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yay.
Good job. All right.
Awesome job. Way to
Thank
go.
you so
You can,
much.
you can tell you've maybe done this a little bit. Yeah.
Thank you. So hey, we'll let you go. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Ada,
Uh,
thank you. It was a pleasure.
Very nice to
Bye.
meet
Thank
you.
Very
so
nice
much.
meeting you.
So you have an invitation, standing invitation in Puerto Rico. Okay.
Hey.
Awesome.
That sounds good.
Thank
And
you so much.
I'll follow up. I'll follow up with you after the weekend. So maybe early next week, I'll just send you an email so you know where this will be posted and all that stuff.
Okay.
If you want to take a listen. But thank you so much for joining us and making it work.
Thank you.
You were awesome.
Thank you, Ada.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Ada.
Bye-bye.
Great
Take
job.
care. Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night. Okay. Awesome job, guys. And if you're watching us live or the raw version of this, by the way, you're not catching our Tornado Talk segment. You're not catching our Tracker Chat segments. Those are all edited in later. So if you're missing those, make sure you listen to our edited podcast or watch the broadcast edit, because we also have that on video too. So
do both. It's only 2 hours, right?
That's
I have a quick question about the tornado trackers.
Yes.
Or tornado chat. Where did they come from? Like, how do they know so much about the history of all these tornadoes?
The trackers are a tornado talk.
Tornado talk. That's
it.
Yeah,
so
I think
Jen Naramore, she does tornado talk. They actually used to have a podcast, and it'd be on the history of a particular tornado, and it was well produced. They stopped doing the podcast, but she now runs the website that is basically a tornado history website. You can basically pull up any day of the year, and it will have a tornado that happened sometime in history on that date. And she does all the research. She'll go to public library information, all that stuff, to research these tornadoes. She does a great job.
Just amazing. There's so much info and detail. Like I heard one of them, it's like, oh.
When I was
read
young,
a paper on tornado.
Yeah,
we had nothing when I was young. Yeah, it was like stone tablets.
Microfiche.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll come back, Maz, with WX Resources. So
Okay.
Just go ahead and introduce what it is again.
Okay.
And then let's find out who has a resource to share.
I do.
Yay, Dina.
I've been waiting to give this one out. I like this one.
I got one.
have a resource. Maz
Okay.
has a resource.
So let's see. Phil.
So 3.
Anybody else with a weather resource? Joel, do you got a weather resource you want to share?
I have a ever-changing bookmark folder. I'm just glancing through.
I know people make fun of my bookmarks. I open them every morning. There's like 42 of them. They're like, geez, Dina.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I've got like my radars folder and the models folder, and
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Don't worry
So we'll
about
do that.
it.
So which is fine. Yep, we just open that up, and then so Dina, Phil, and Maz, and then episode 75. Show notes on stormfrontfreaks.com or your podcast app. And then Dina, introduce Weather Fools. So introduce what it is.
Okay.
And then I have a Weather Fool.
So Phil,
Yep.
me, and anybody else?
Anybody
No,
else? with a
I'm
Weather
spent.
Fool?
I'm spent.
So I was trying to find something, at least a resource or a fool. And I typed in hashtag weatherfools on Twitter. Obviously found a lot of Stormfront Freak stuff, but I found someone tweet at us. Is anybody someone tweeted at us about an incident that occurred with a certain weather service?
The drunk driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, we covered that last show.
Okay.
You were on that.
We did?
You were on that show. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I had another.
I think you were, or maybe that was the one. That might have been the
Your
one before.
White wine incident.
But yeah, we
Yeah.
covered it.
Well, this is the first episode I've drank wine. I've been drinking beer.
Oh,
Okay.
she's
Wow.
switching. Woo,
Oh.
go girl.
Switching it up. Thank you.
Don't mix.
Women-
Girl.
Have you
Women's
guys ever
empowerment.
covered the marine traffic site? So there's a website out there that basically shows you a live ship map of
What
every
was that
ship
again?
at sea.
Oh,
Gotta beat that out.
it's that accent.
Yeah, marinetraffic.com. It's basically Google
Oh.
Maps, but has
What was that?
That
But has
was the
shit.
only thing I
Rude.
had. That was a beat. No, that sounds cool though.
so it's like you ever see like if there's a severe storm going over an airport and you see all the planes routing
Yep,
around the
that's
storm.
what I was just gonna say.
Same
You see the
thing,
ships
but like
going
for
around the tropical
hurricanes and
storms
stuff like that. Yeah,
that's cool.
I
Use
use
that
it
as
a lot during hurricane
resource.
season. Yeah,
Are you going to do it then?
yeah, I'll do that.
I have a,
Go ahead. Sorry.
I have a question about a fool. This isn't like, your
Yes, you
typical
can use
meme or
yourself
so.
if that's what your
Well,
question
okay,
is.
I was a fool. I didn't bring an umbrella today, so yes.
Oh,
but,
Brady's already used that one. I think.
But no, so since I run the social media, I get some weird, like we don't usually get a lot of weird stuff in our inboxes and stuff. There's something weird that we got, and I'm not going to bring it up, but we did get somebody who's like anti, that they think that we're doing chemtrails. And it's weird because like the meteorology club at Ohio State is just a club, and people will comment for some reason their conspiracy theories. Would that be a fool?
That's shocking.
Would that be a fool? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
You up on Max
I
Yeah,
think we
I
did
think
we
so.
did a weather full of flat Earth. Once,
I
people.
Okay.
about to mention, I just came across there's a
We've done that.
documentary on
So
Netflix
yeah,
about the flat
we can
earthers,
do that.
and I
I
wasn't
saw that.
aware.
That's so stupid. That thing is.
Yeah.
And then they call them out. Basically, they just like immediately show proof that whatever somebody says. Yeah, it's a good one. It's good.
Morgan, I thought you were woke.
I am woke. I'm woke AF.
Okay. Air
So
Force?
Morgan, are you
Ask
going to
your-
do
ask
one?
your
Are you
children
gonna
what
do
that
this or
means.
not?
I'll do it. I'll
Ask
do
your
it.
Okay.
children what that means.
Well, they would know
That's
too.
harsh. That is harsh.
Yeah. It's Grandpa.
I'm dropping your grade on your internship.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. We're not doing it for credit.
No,
so,
no.
okay.
I'm graduating regardless. So.
That's
Woo,
true.
go
Wait,
girl.
no credits, no pay. Why are you here again?
She got paid.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
The PayPal last one, I got to pay for my coach ticket up from London to Leeds.
Oh,
So thank you.
Nice.
wow.
Good timing.
Good. Yeah, she one of parts of her internship was she sent out probably 30 emails to potential sponsors, people to partner with. And so she helped us get our sponsors that
Good
we got.
job.
So I
Thank
helped her
you. Thank you.
I didn't even know we
Yeah.
had sponsors.
literally.
Wait, you heard the extreme tornado? That little he kind of snuck in the
Yeah, he did.
the atmosphere weather app. At first, I was like, oh, "Okay, we're gonna." Oh, this is
it's
an
a
ad.
commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
But
5
hey, that
seconds
was
That worked.
slick. That was slick, Phil. I like it. I like it.
in.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's get going. We'll get going. All right, so we've got does anybody need to share their screen and
I
need
do.
to learn how to share their screen?
Oh, no.
So we're not wasting
No, I'm going
time.
to share, but I know
Let's
how.
practice sharing your screen if you need to do that. If
We
you don't
know
need
how
to
to
share
do
it,
it.
you can talk about it. Maz doesn't, so if he needs
There's,
to
Yeah.
share.
I don't know how to
Let's
share, but should I share? I mean, there's a
No,
lot of.
No,
you're
there's
weather
nothing to
fool. You
share
can
with
just
that,
talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The
yeah.
screen helps mostly for like video
Yeah, I
or a
figured.
photo.
Can I be Monty Python for a minute? Get on with it.
Yeah, okay, we're going.
I got to go to work soon.
All right, yep. So let's do this. I'm coming into Maz. Ready?
All right.
Here we go in 3, 2.
All right, welcome back. Time now for some fun. That's right. We've got WX Resources, and here to kick us off with WX Resources, which is places to go where you can kind of find out real cool weather stuff, some new technology, new gadgetry, whatever, even apps. Dina, you've got something.
Okay, I do. And I've been waiting to share this one for a while. It's called, I'm freezing up. Oh, goodness.
It's called I'm
Really? I
Freezing
don't
Up?
know I'm called
My
I'm freezing up.
computer's
That's-
freezing. All right, move
don't know
on to
why I
the
would
next one
want
and
that.
come back.
Winter
to
weather app.
Come back to me.
All right. So we'll cut that.
Okay. All right, Phil, you got one, don't you?
I do have a WX resource, and this is just nothing specific. It's more. So I went storm chasing this past week. We had some severe weather up in mostly it's kind of, I'd say, western Kentucky, southern Indiana, into western Ohio. But I was out in Indiana, and one of the things, and I was just chasing by myself, got on 3 different tornado warned storms at the time. They didn't drop anything. They were moving. Guys, these storms were moving 60 to 70 miles an hour. So you just had to hope you were in the right place at the right time because you weren't going to catch up to them. But one of the things that was huge was I use my phone quite a bit for, I use it for 2 things, for my radar as well as for my navigation. And what was great was I have got a suction cup mount that I can mount right on my windshield, and I can hook my phone right into that thing. You can go on to Amazon or whatever and just search suction cup or windshield mounts for your iPhone or your Android. But this was perfect because it keeps it right at eye level. I don't have to look down at my dash. I don't have to look down at the floor. I don't have to look to the right. I can basically look almost straight ahead and see where I'm going, see the radar. It's really vital, especially when you're chasing by yourself, I think that was really important. So my weather resources, and it's pretty inexpensive if you don't have one and you like to chase or do any of that stuff. It's great to just pop your phone right up there on the windshield.
And that might not be legal in every state, so you'll want to check and see, because I think I've heard of some things if you got anything on your windshield or
Or
right
just
there.
wait for the trooper to pull you
so
over and tell you.
conservative, man.
Right. They won't see you go like this. I'm taking it down.
I think Minnesota might have been a state that at one point, if you had a navigation, the old Garmins and TomToms, that you couldn't have that in your dash. But honestly, I don't think anybody's going to pull you over because you got something on your.
Gotcha.
windshield.
Dina, did you find yours?
I did. I was having a trouble there. Can you guys see this now? It's preview.weather.gov/EDD/. And mainly this is a National Weather Service enhanced display. It's experimental, and you can actually put all kinds of layers on it. I love it because it combines a bunch of different pages like SPC and the National Weather Service. So you can add radar if you want. You can turn on forecast. You can turn on OBS. I like the storm reports, and you could pick the hour that you want to. If you hover your mouse over it, it will give you the storm report. You can click on webcams and look at webcams. I mean, it's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. It's something I use every single day, and it works pretty great.
I love stuff like that.
I've seen that before too, but I think that's been like experimental for 20 years.
It has, but I mean, I love it because you can get so many different layers on it. And I like the storm reports, especially. And then being able to kind of like even look at a webcam if you want, it'll give you forecast everything.
It's EDD for the ADD.
Exactly.
All right. Just saying. Squirrel. Sorry. All right. So, Joel, do you have something?
I do. And I am sharing this guy real quick so you can see. So this is marinetraffic.com, which takes a Google map and overlays metadata of every single ship on planet Earth that's out to sea. So
even the secret ones?
I know people have probably seen photos before of severe storms approaching an airport where you'll see all the planes trying to route around the storm or, circle ahead of the storm or behind it, waiting for the storm to pass so they can land. Same concept, but for boats in the ocean. And you can even see some along the Mississippi and other rivers.
There was a lot of chaser convergence there in the Baltic.
Right. Exactly.
So do the different colors mean something?
Yeah, so they're different ship types, ship classes. But this is a not really super interesting right now, but in hurricane season, this resource is really interesting to watch because as a storm, the warning starts popping up in the ocean and it starts to organize, and maybe it becomes a tropical storm, then maybe it becomes a Cat 1. You will see all of the smarter vessels start to get out of its path, and occasionally you find one maybe not so smart captain or very brave captain just go right through the middle of it. And if you drill down on a particular
that would
ship,
be Captain Morgan,
right?
By the way, and not you, Morgan, but
when you mouse over some of these,
Captain
like
Morgan.
the big blue ones here, these are cruise ships. Big
The red
purple ones.
Do they put the name of the captain on there so you
can
make them a weather fool next episode?
This one's a Hong Kong flagged. There you go. Big. That looks like an oil tanker.
That's not a cruise ship.
Yeah,
maybe in China. I don't know.
This one right here is a Norwegian, cruise ship. Disney. That was a Disney cruise ship coming back to probably Fort Lauderdale or Palm Beach or something.
Cool.
But it's super interesting in hurricane season to see where everyone's routing, or maybe that the storm that we had in the Pacific a few weeks ago. I was watching it, and you can also watch their speed. If you drill some of these, it doesn't work for every ship, but some of these you can drill in and get a detail page on the ship and get a history of the vessel's speed. So as it starts to get into rougher waters, you'll see its speed drop down as it's coming, trying to get out of the path of a storm or coming into the wake of a storm or something, versus, out here where I don't know what the weather is out here in the Pacific right now, but if there's no weather, it'll be steaming along at a steady pace with a steady track on the graph of its speed. And it's super interesting because also you'll see, when we have hurricanes come in and on the East Coast, because I'm in Virginia, so I watch those the most, you'll see a lot of the ships leave port in advance and move up and down the coast to put into port somewhere else to try to get out of where the eye is going to make landfall. It's just super interesting. I really like this site.
So now you can stock your family on a cruise ship too. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Checking. All right. Hey, and right along those same lines, I've got one too, and it's called. Yeah,
Wow.
I know, right? Once
Good
every
job,
3
Maz.
years.
I'm proud of you.
Good job.
I still haven't been able to share my screen. Let's see.
Answered the call.
Here we go. Share and hit this. And okay. So this is Venture Sky.
Maz's face. How are you, buddy?
Really? You can't see it?
Yeah, dude, I told you to practice. Come on.
What the heck?
Just tell us what the website
You're
is.
making us, you're making us
too
work
cool,
too hard,
though.
buddy. We got to edit all this out.
Seriously?
You're making us work.
Hang on. Oh, share. There's the button I forgot to put. Okay.
Oh,
Is
okay.
that better?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Still can't
There
see
it
it?
goes.
There she is.
Oh,
God, this
Okay.
better be good
For a whole
because
second.
we had to wait for it.
Okay. So there's a whole bunch of different layers, but this Joel kind of goes along with yours because this one I've actually put on waves.
Oh, yeah.
So if you hover over, look at that, 12.6
wow,
foot
that's
waves.
great.
I'm digging
Yeah.
it.
Check this out, 17, 18 foot waves, up 20 foot waves. I mean, how cool will that be during hurricane
So
season?
explain what it is.
It's another site
you
that I
haven't
look
told
at.
us what
Yeah,
the
and then
site
Joel
is
needs
yet.
It's
to
the
get
same
his
thing,
ships
but for
out there
wind
and
over
see if
land.
they're on
It's
the
like
same
wind.com or
waves.
something.
Overlay them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. I'm
So
just gonna
Maz,
watch this more.
explain what you haven't given us the name of the website yet.
Oh, I did. I'm sorry. It's VentuSky, VentuSky.com. And on the left side, it has a whole bunch of different layers you can put on there. But I've clicked on the waves because I love that one. I was
That's
just like,
cool.
oh, I'm totally. And of course, you can zoom into it, but I don't have my mouse plugged in right now because you can zoom right into that, and it's very amazing. I love the fact that you can see, like wind speeds, wind directions. I love that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's neat.
And you can
Wow,
zoom
you
way
actually
in
had a
on
really good one after 3 years.
Yeah.
Thank
well,
you.
we waited. Yeah, that was worth the wait.
See you in 2022. So anyway, so that is Venture Sky, and of course you can. Do I have to unshare my screen now?
Yes,
Yes.
you do. Just say stop
sorry.
sharing. You're good.
Really? Did I do it?
It's blank, but go. Oh,
Blank?
there you are. Go ahead.
Okay. So
Makes for
and that's
great
everybody,
radio.
right? That's everybody.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can check out all these sites in case you missed them. You didn't get a chance. Your pen ran out of ink, whatever. On stormfrontfreaks.com, episode 75 show notes, or on your podcast app, Phil. Pretty cool stuff.
All right, good stuff. Great, makes for great radio on there. But that was good. All right, hashtag Weather Fools, Dina. You got
All
it.
right. Yeah, this is the part of the show that's the most fun. It's the part of the show where we get to kind of make fun of you if you do something stupid and it has to do with weather. We call it Weather Fools. All right, Phil, you've got one. What is it?
All right, so my Weather Fool brings us to Twitter. And I'm not going to share this on the screen, but I'm going to cover with you. A lot of you probably saw on Twitter, there was a video this was from March 13th of heavy winds. This was down, I'm trying to think where this was. I think it was in Texas. Yeah, Amarillo, Texas. And there was a semi-truck going across a bridge or a big stretch, and it got blown over. Did you guys see that?
I
that
did
video?
see it.
So Blake Brown, that came from Blake Brown, and he said, so here it goes. It goes, not one but two semi-trucks flip over in the same spot. Well, that's not the Weather Fool. My Weather Fool is this. Lisa Dalzell Spooner. She is a anchor woman for, where's she at? NBC2 in Fort Myers, Florida. She came back and she said on Twitter, she basically said, hey, Blake, I know you have not for broadcast in this video, but if I ask pretty please, would you give an exception? I work for the NBC in Fort Myers, Florida. Thanks. And Dina, obviously you kind of have to deal with this as well. But all this did was just made
Makes me
all
laugh.
the chasers and photographers just totally ganged up on her. Aaron came back and said, Hey, Blake, I know you spent your own money and your own equipment and gas to get to the location and have bills to pay, but I have no shame and do not care about the money you spent. Can you let me use this video? I'll give you credit because credit pays the bills, right? Lisa comes back and says, yes, because asking permission to use video on Twitter is a new thing, Aaron. I roll. Aaron came back and said, oh, it's definitely not new, but it should be looked down on. Your network will make money off the footage, yet you ask for video and promise credit. Credit doesn't pay bills, Lisa. Here's what Lisa came back with, and this is why she's my weather fool.
Sensing a troll bot.
So she comes back. She says, so how are we going to make money off the footage? You think 15 to 20 seconds of whether the footage is in the newscast or not makes a difference? No. It was really cool video. That would have been cool to share with viewers here in Florida who aren't there, but whatever.
Oh,
well,
geez.
of course, everyone was like, this is what newscasts do. They get good footage so they can get viewers to make money. That's what it's all about.
Whatever is the kicker there.
Yeah, and she has no clue. Obviously, she doesn't get the fact that this is how their stupid station makes money anyway, but it was just, she kept going down the rabbit hole and she made it worse for herself. So, Lisa, you are our hashtag weather fool.
Wow. All right, Morgan, I heard you have a good one and something about the Ohio State Atmospheric Science Club.
Yeah, so I run the social media for Meteorology Club. And one day, this has been long ago, probably in June, but I figured this may be a fool. So out of the blue, I got a comment on someone else's comment that, someone just sad that they missed out on our annual symposium. I guess weather resource next week, Thursday. But
what's the date? Because someone might be listening to this 2 years from now. And
oh yes, March 28th. Yes, 2019. But so someone just commented, we're sad I missed it this year. Bummer, And then all of a sudden I get, let's just say Lori. Well, that's her name, but
Wow.
So she comments, and mind you, remember, this is a university just club. Like, it's not like some.
Wow, somebody found her.
Good. Yeah, someone cut her off.
And there goes your degree.
Oh boy,
Lori
Stop
Smith
talking
on High
about
Street.
Lori. That's right. Lori cut
All
her
right,
off.
well, I think she's kind of stuck here.
She is kind of stuck.
She
right.
believes.
Okay,
So Noah responded.
Stop,
so I guess it's kind of a troll bot.
Stop.
Sorry.
We just lost you for the last probably 45 seconds. You were frozen.
You
So whatever
froze.
you just said, we missed it all.
As soon as you said her name.
Basically, you
Okay.
said Lori, and then
She's-
we joked
Lori
about
cut the
Lori.
power.
Yeah.
She's working my my audio, I guess.
So after you
Behind-
mentioned
okay.
it was Lori, I'm going to count you in 3, 2.
Okay, so Lori responded to this comment about someone just missing the symposium, our annual symposium, and she just says, lie, stop the weaponized weather, do not consent, because she got some email. She emailed Noah about weather modification. And Noah responded, Noah does not participate in cloud seeding or other weather modification projects. And for your reference, while this publicly,
They probably have a cookie cutter.
they're being very
response.
polite about it. It could be a good weather troll bot, but she shares it with this university club of just kids about that. We have nothing to do with it. We don't control the weather. I since deleted the comment because it's irrelevant, but I did screenshot it. So I've had it in my record books, but I think Lori's a good weather fool.
Nature.
All right, Lori. She's
I
from
used to,
Russia, I think. She's from Russia.
I'm a web developer at a very large environmental nonprofit, and for the longest time, my email address got the forward of just the generic webmaster at ourdomain.org, and we get 30 million hits on our site a month. And I'm not at all surprised about 20 years ago, maybe, but after having seen just about everything possible you could see, I'm not at all surprised anymore by the crazy responses you get of just
Well,
anything.
the weirdest thing is that we had no friends in common. She had nothing to do. She's nowhere near Ohio,
Because she's in Russia. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Russia. It's a Russian bot. Troll bot. That's what it is.
Yeah. That's what I said.
I used to work for the not National Fish and Wildlife, the U.S. Oh, shoot, I can't remember the name of the place. U.S. Fish National Wildlife Foundation, and we had a grant that was Save the Tiger Fund, that helped fund the tiger thing at the zoo. And there was a tiger that escaped at the San Francisco Zoo that attacked a zoo goer, and they had to euthanize it. And we got flooded with donations in the name of the tiger, like donations to the Tiger Fund in the name of the tiger. And one person wanted to donate $5,000 to erect a memorial
on
behalf
of the tiger. And
so they're a weather fool. Is that where your story's going, Joel?
Tiger, I don't know.
So we got in a rabbit hole. On
making conversation.
All right, Dina, let's wrap it up, please.
All right, so this is a cute one. This was with all the snow. A cop finds a Mustang made of snow and tickets it, but it's not a real Mustang. It's something that a guy and his son, I think, carved out of snow. And if you watch it, it says, "Don't be fooled. That's no Mustang. It's a snow Mustang." And the cop comes up to it, and he was kind of looking at it, and it does really look like a real car. Like, you kind of look at it, you're like, people had way too much time on their hands. Like, maybe they lost power and couldn't watch TV or something because they went out and did this. So as a joke, the cop ticketed it for double parking.
Shadron, Nebraska.
It's so cute. Joke. It was cute. You guys gotta just kind of see it. But it does look real.
Hey, Phil, can I say something just real quick? I just want to say, first of all, I know we're going to wrap up. I just want to say how awesome on our site, with the live streaming of the trackers. I actually, during that blizzard out in Western Nebraska, which is the video that you had showed, I was contacting one of them and asking him specific questions, and it's awesome.
Good.
It's just so cool. Love that.
Yeah, that's So if you go to stormfrontfreaks.com, that's our Zoom radar and Storm Chaser tracker. I forget what the name of it is, but you can watch live streaming video of the Storm Chasers.
It's great.
On that, so that's interesting. Okay, so Dina, I'll wrap it up for you. All these fools, weather fools, they'll be posted on our episode. Yeah, that was.
I got sidetracked with the tiger.
that was bad. There's unfortunately going to have to be a lot of freaking editing on that. But yeah, she said it. Episode 75 show notes. Check it out. So please God, this just about does it for the episode of Stormfront Freaks podcast.
Just clear us, man.
Oh my God. Thanks for listening or watching. If you made it this far, God help you. But before I reveal our next guest, if you enjoy our show, please, I shouldn't ask this now. I should have asked this before those segments, but do us a favor, leave a great review on your podcast app.
You were begging, man.
I just said pod ass or something. I didn't say it right. But don't forget to subscribe to the show by hitting your podcast app subscribe button. Works just like a magazine or a newspaper subscription, but this one is free. All it means is when you subscribe, the minute we post the show, shows up right in your podcast inbox, which is awesome. But I do want to say special thanks to our guest tonight, Audas Monzon. She was outstanding. And to our guest co-host, Joel Hausman. Joel, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on.
Do me a favor for the 5 people that are still listening at this point, but please tell us a little bit about Ice Station Hausman and what it's all about.
Ice Station Hausman we're more of an enthusiast podcast, but we cover a variety of topics, anything from whatever the latest storm was that's in the news that week, if it just so happens to be near when we're recording, to if there's nothing really going on interesting weather-wise that week, we'll talk about what causes El Nino, or a historic list of historic weather cold snaps going back to the 1800s. We've covered I was telling Phil the other day, weather in outer space on other planets in the solar system. like what you may see in the atmosphere of Neptune. Stuff like that. And co-hosting with me is Jimmy Marks, who's also an enthusiast, and Becky DePodwin, who is an actual meteorologist at AccuWeather, and she specializes in preparedness and discussions about that and research about that. And so we've had all sorts of cool episodes, and we come out, we try to record at least once a month, sometimes twice a month.
Joel, it's tough to verify weather on Neptune, isn't it?
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I want a real observation.
A lot of that episode was based on what we know about it. We think it's going to be,
missed it by that much.
All right, and along with that, we've got Dina as part of our National Weather Podcast Month. Dina, you're going to be a guest panelist on Weather Brains this week as well, and then MJ is going to be joining the crew at Carolina Weather Group.
They were fun. I was on there last year.
Yeah. So anyway, we're having fun with that. Our next episode is going to be in 2 weeks. We're going to be recording on April 4th. With opening day baseball here, we'll have Minnesota Twins meteorologist Mace Michaels. They're going to be coming off their home opener on March 28th. So we'll have him on the show, talk a little opening day baseball and forecasting for professional baseball events. But if you'd like to watch the recording live, we'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central. Check us out on our YouTube channel by searching Stormfront Freaks. So for this 2.5 hour episode, for Maz and Dina, Morgan, our intern, and Joel, I'm going to go ahead and signal the all clear, and we're going to catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
I think the 5 people that were watching, because you said that, and I was like, are there? So I looked it up. There were 5 people. I think it was each of our mothers.
Yep. That's how it works. If it weren't for our mothers, we would have nobody ever listening or downloading this show. But we did have. Let me see who we had on tonight. Where's my? Oh, you know what? I bet the chat doesn't show up anymore because I haven't.
Hey, you did it. You did a good job filling in, Phil.
Yeah, good job, Phil.
Yeah. That's probably not what everybody else is saying because I wasn't responding to him. Who was on? We had Parker Owens was on, Timothy Veltman. Richard Legner, all of our regulars. We love these guys.
I love that name. What is it? Veltman?
Veltman. Yeah,
That's
Timothy
a cool
Veltman.
Name. That's a cool name.
He's sent us, I think, a weather fool or two.
Oh.
Was he in Ghostbusters? Or is that Pinkman? That's Pinkman.
And then we also had on, and I don't know if he's still on or she is on, but Jessiandria Mendez was on at one point.
Cool.
So, or at least in the chat, we had other people on. They just probably weren't chatting. But
this whole live audience thing is new to me. We always just record.
Yeah, and we honestly, we don't really promote the live show all that much. We have the folks that we have come on that are live are kind of our regulars, and we love them because they're always contributing, which is cool. We love that feedback. But obviously, that's not. The tonight is not when we get most of our viewers or listeners. It's always the edited stuff that we get.
Probably get 10 or 20 times more on the download.
Yeah, we get about 40 or 50 then.
Yeah, it's typical.
Yeah.
Oh, and hey, Phil, were they going